afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Well, good afternoon. Florida leads the way yet again, as we have done on issue after issue over these many years. We are here again, doing it again, on doing everything we can to end the illegal immigration crisis in this country once and for all. We here in Florida have a responsibility to be strong partners with the Trump administration as it seeks to restore the rule of law, remove illegal aliens from our communities, and protect public safety. Today, the Florida legislature has passed the strongest legislation to combat illegal immigration of any state in the entire country. I want to thank President Albritton and Speaker Perez for meeting this moment, rising to the occasion, and for producing a product that reflects the values and aspirations of the voters who sent us here in the first place. Now, Florida has been leading on these issues, particularly when Biden administration took hold. They opened the border and created chaos, not just in those border communities, but all across the country. We have led with Operation Lone Star, the first state in the country to send support for Texas during the Biden administration to combat the illegal border crossings. We also launched Operation Vigilant Sentry, plugging the holes that Biden left in our marine defense and interdicting over 17,000 illegal aliens that have now been repatriated by the Coast Guard just in the last year and a half alone. Of course, we had our illegal alien transport program, and then we've enacted legislation, no ID cards of any kind. That's a huge deterrent for illegal immigration. Increased penalties on illegal aliens for a variety of things, including driving, including voting, and also making sure we're monitoring hospital costs, and we've deterred a lot of costs in our healthcare system. So as Florida has led on this, it's been a team effort. The legislature has been with us on issue after issue for really the last 4 or 5 years, really all the way going back to the ban on sanctuary cities 4 or 5 years ago. So I want to thank them for their partnership on that. And we've been moving forward even as this legislation has been debated. And, I know there was a lot of twists and turns, but I like to tell people is like, when you're on an airplane, sometimes you have turbulence, and like in the moment, you kind of think of it. The minute you land safely, you just kind of forget about it and you move on with your day. And this plane landed safely and securely and soundly. We're going to continue to do our part. Even as this was going on, we executed a so-called 287G agreement with the Department of Homeland Security and Florida Highway Patrol. So they have been out. They have been conducting operations. FDLE has been doing it. I'd imagine you'll see an agreement between DHS and FDLE very shortly to be able to protect our communities. Now, when we called for this special session, we outlined a number of things that we thought were important. And it wasn't about, like I was saying this. These are things that our voters had asked for. These are things that people who are smart in this space have talked about for many years. And now with the Trump administration at that time preparing to take power, now in power, this was our time to act. We wanted to make it a state crime to enter the state of Florida illegally. We wanted to make sure there were duties on state and local law enforcement, including having appropriate sanctions up to and including removal from office, so that they're participating with the enforcement of federal immigration laws. We wanted there to be a coordinating officer to be able to help work with these local authorities. We wanted to broaden the gang language so that we could sweep in more of these illegal alien gangs and hold them accountable. We wanted to make sure that we were able to exercise transport as appropriate. We wanted to repeal in-state tuition and focus on Floridians for people that were here illegally, no in-state tuition. Wanted to make sure there were strong penalties on voter fraud and registering to vote as an illegal alien. We wanted to police and deter the remittances, and we wanted to end the practice of catch and release, where you have a dangerous criminal alien get arrested and then immediately released back onto the street by our justice system. And I'm happy to say that of those key policies, virtually all of them are reflected in the legislation that was passed by the legislature today. So the voters who have been talking to me about this for many, many years, who wanted to see very swift action, just know that what the legislature did today, that answers the call. This is what you asked for. This is what you expected for us. And this really is kind of just the ticket to the dance. We're going to be implementing it. There's going to be a lot of things that happen, but I can tell you the state of Florida will be safer and secure as a result of this legislation. And again, I want to say this is a team effort. We got folks in both houses of the legislature. Obviously, our office, we were working very hard on this for many weeks, and we've produced a really, really strong product. I absolutely anticipate other states will follow what Florida has done as we move forward in the weeks and months ahead. We are ahead of the curve on ending the illegal immigration crisis. We didn't just sit on our hands. We got to work. We hashed it out, and we've got a great product going forward. So we are the model that a lot of these states look to. This is another big issue that we're leading on. And I want to thank everybody involved, and I look forward to momentarily putting my John Hancock on the pieces of legislation here. But before I do that, I want to give the presiding officers a chance to come up and say a few words. And so we'll start with our man from Wauchula, Senate President Ben Albritton.
Good afternoon. This is a sunshine state, and today the light is shining brightly. We have taken incredible steps over the last 10 days to be with President Trump and work with his organizations, his agencies, our agencies here in Florida, to make a meaningful difference and really go forward and attack the challenge we have here with illegal immigration. Speaker, I want you to know that I love you. I love you. You're a good friend and trusted. Thank you very much for all the work that you put into this. Governor, you've been the tip of the spear on this entire discussion. Your leadership has been phenomenal. Thank you so very much. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is this. At the end of the day, what happened over the last 10 days leading to this event today is all about Floridians. And what I know is this. Going forward, once this is implemented, Florida families, Florida children, Florida grandchildren, fathers, mothers are going to be safer. They're going to be safer. That is a high calling for us. And for me, that is the number one reason why I was willing to, with these two gentlemen, to lean in and run to this fight, because it matters that much. My wife, Missy, and I have 3 kids of our own. We have 2 grandkids, and a couple within about 5 weeks will go from 2 to 4. And it's important for me to make sure that they have the best chance possible going forward to be safe here in the state and not be plagued with many of the challenges we've seen because of this crisis. So please bear that in mind as you write about this. It's about Floridians, and it's about their safety. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, President Albritton and Governor. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you to all of you for being here, and to all the Floridians that have been patient over the last several weeks. We all had one common goal, and the goal was to solve for the crisis of illegal immigration through the vision of President Trump. We may have had different ways on how to get there, but at the end of the day, those are discussions that were healthy, were necessary, and make democracy way better after the conversation has been had. And so I want to thank the governor for being a great partner in this, and of course President Albritton from the beginning in the trenches in order for us to put forth the best product that we could. I also want to make sure that we thank the senators and the House members that had their input in this bill. There was a lot of discussion. There were multiple committees. In the House, we had 3 select committees, which were some of the biggest committees we've ever had in the House. And then we had the Budget Committee yesterday in order to bring the discussion forward with Q&A and debate to make sure that the product that we produced was the best, the brightest, and the most conservative in the country. And so the governor's absolutely right. when he says that Florida leads, and I do expect many other states to follow. So thank you all for working together alongside me. It was a privilege. I hope that Florida is proud of the work product that we have put forward. I know the three of us and our colleagues are very proud of it. So thank you all for being here.
All right, let's get it done right here. All right, so, okay. Here we go. Today is the 13th of February. I know that because I'm monitoring Valentine's Day. I'm ready for that, so. Okay. You, sir?
Thank you.
You, sir? Peanut gallery? Anybody? Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Here you go. Great work. Big deal right there. All right. Well, I just want to thank both the leaders again for their hard work on this, and just also, to point out, we've had a lot of success in Florida. People are always, I meet all these legislators from other states because they're coming down here asking, kind of what's going on with all this stuff. And, we've had a lot of great folks to be able to work with. But, Ben and the Speaker, they've been here with me since day one. They weren't necessarily in the leadership positions then, but all these accomplishments, they've had a great hand in. So I appreciate that. I appreciate landing this product. And guys, buckle up, because this isn't just window dressing. We are getting to work. You are going to see a lot of things happening very quickly. Okay, any questions?
Governor, I'm curious, when you made the call originally, had like 3 other ideas that you wanted to get done in special session. That was conduit reform, hurricane relief, and I think petition reform as well. We've got a couple weeks to go till regular session. You're going to push for those during the regular session?
Of course, yes. So I've talked to both the presiding officers. They are going to overhaul the petition process and combat the fraud. I think we have broad agreement on that. I think the membership has agreement on that, and a lot of our supporters in the grassroots and even in the business community realize that that this thing has gone off the rails. So I'm confident that they're going to address that, and I think pretty early in the session from what I hear. The other issues, I stand ready to work with them positively on it, and I think they can get something done on it. On the hurricane stuff, we've got the people that have been approved for My Safe Florida Home, even a part of the thing. It ran out of money. I think the legislature has been supportive of the program. I've been supportive of it. And so my suggestion was, because, it does cost money, at least let's get those people off the waiting list. They've already been approved, had their inspections. They're just waiting for the money, who are in those hurricane damaged areas, because if they're having to rebuild anyways, this way you help it and you get back and you have better resilience for future storms. So I think we'll be able to work through all those. I will say that doing this like we did with the immigrants is important, because DHS, Biden gutted it. Biden gutted ICE. So they're trying to kind of rebuild. And the fact that Florida, they're already leaning on us, but we're happy to help, especially in this intervening period before they can get all the resources flowing into those agencies. And so I think the fact that the legislature acted soon, you're going to see that pay dividends, and you're going to see states that lag on this, they're just not going to be able to have the same impact that I think this legislation will.
Yeah, Governor, after Deputy Michael Hartwick was killed a couple of years ago by an illegal immigrant working for a state contractor, that your administration didn't hold the contractor accountable.
That's not true. That is not true.
Your investigation was 2 pages.
That is not true. No. That's not true. We absolutely pursued. The reality was this was an out-of-state contractor. There was a lot of shady things going on, but they absolutely did pursue that. And so what you're saying is just totally false. What you're saying is totally false.
Well, what did you guys do?
What you're saying is totally false. Next.
Governor, have you talked to the Trump administration? Are there plans to use the unauthorized alien transfer program to deport people? Have you heard anything about how they plan to use that state program? Now
So
that they're
there,
out of control?
obviously, you know, our guys have been working with the DHS throughout this whole period. And that's why we have the 287G agreement. That's why we've got probably some more agreements from the state level going. I think you're going to see some sheriffs spring into action pretty quickly on that as well. But they're also in a situation where they have to stand up the training. They have to stand up some of the things. So you have to go through a certain type of course or tutelage before you can exercise the authorities under federal immigration law. That was decimated under Biden. They're now bringing it up. So we're going to go through that. We're now well positioned because we're ready to act. So as they get this online, we're going to spring into action. And that's true for all of these things. But I think that they have a lot of different needs. And again, our legislation's like, look, you have a duty, you know, to use, you know, your maximum efforts to be able to assist with this. Now, there may be some law enforcement that may not be able to do some of the things they want because it's just outside their purview. There's others that can. Highway patrol, I know we're going to be able to do a lot, and there's a lot that goes into it. Certainly the transport. So, for example, right now, if you're not qualified to do immigration enforcement, if you have an illegal alien that gets pulled over on the highway, you can call ICE. If ICE comes, they get them, no problem. But unless you're trained to exercise those authorities, you cannot, as the highway patrol, transport them to an ICE facility. That will change, obviously, as our troopers are trained in this. And so just think about it, like that's going to save, that'll save lives, quite frankly. If you get somebody that's driving drunk illegally here, even if ICE doesn't have anyone available to come get them, you can then just take them and get them in detention. That's a huge thing. And there's a whole host of permutations. But I think we're ahead of the curve as a state. We're working closely with them, particularly on the ground level. There's a lot of things that are happening in the agency because, quite frankly, I think, you know, Biden, he decimated the morale. Some of the people that were in the agency were almost like anti-ICE officers, like they didn't want to enforce the law. Morale was low amongst those who did want to enforce the law. So there's a lot of things that are in flux right now. And so as that gets landed, man, you got a great partner in the state of Florida. So I think what we've done is going to have really important repercussions, not just in the state, but really throughout the country.
Contracts that you
Is
have.
there any plan to support?
So yeah, so I went through the policies that we had kind of suggested at the beginning, and the one thing that's not reflected is the remittances. And I think part of it was just there was good feedback about, okay, you know, we didn't want to tax the remittances because I don't know that we could get the votes to do that. And then it's also you would be taxing legitimate remittances, right? So we wanted to just focus on the illegal remittances, but then to create like an E-Verify bureaucracy, there were some concerns about that. So I think the remittances is an important issue. I'm for doing something about it. I think we've got to get to where we get a product that will be administrable, and maybe the federal government will take action on remittances. I think if they do something on remittances, then that would probably obviate the need for us to do it. Ideally, it really does need to be a federal issue. I know Oklahoma, maybe one other state, has tried to tackle it at the state level. I'm open to doing it if we can get a product, but what I don't want is, and it wasn't our intent, but if it's going to create a Byzantine bureaucracy to be able to ensure that someone's here legally, because most payments that are processed are just from normal citizens who are working normally. They can send payments outside the country. That happens. So you really got to check the employment status, and it ends up just being, I think, something that's that can get too convoluted. So there was good feedback on that from people not only in the legislature but also in different industries. And so we want to make sure if we do it, we get it right. So if we get a product that would work, you know, I would work with the legislature, see if we can do it. But I do think you could see some action on remittances federally. I mean, it seems to me it'd be a pretty low-hanging fruit. I know they've got a lot of different irons in the fire right now and some of the things that they're looking to do, but people have been talking about these remittances for a long time. You may even be able to do it administratively through the bureaucratic process, but at a minimum, you could throw that into the reconciliation bill that they're going to do and do it. So hopefully they will do it, but we'll be watching and seeing. but we got to do it. We got to do it right. And people had some ideas. You know, I looked at some of them. I think we got good constructive feedback on it.
Governor, speaking of E-Verify, would you approve a measure to expand E-Verify to employers who employ less than 25 people?
Of course. When I proposed E-Verify originally, I wanted it for all employees. The legislature at the time wanted to do 500 employees. I'm like, what? Then 250, and we got it down to 25. But I wanted it to be for all new hires, and I think that that's something that's appropriate. So I would absolutely support it, and I would also support funding for that. You know, we haven't really gotten funding. I know there were some comments saying that we weren't doing as much as we could, but we also didn't have the funding to do it. And so if they do it to just say, hey, this is going to be a requirement for everybody, make it very quick and easy, and then provide funding, I think that that would be a home run. So yeah, I'd be supportive of that 100%.
Wasn't that intense debate between you and legislative leaders? Some have said there are still hurt feelings through this process. And I wonder, how will this change how you work with legislative leaders going forward into regular session?
Well, I can tell you that's not on my part. I mean, you know, what we're doing here, when you get sent to office, you know, this is business. It's not personal. I don't take this stuff personally. In fact, I mean, when people hit me personally, that I think that probably benefits my position, because you know a lot of the voters that sent us here don't agree with those attacks, and so it's fine. To me, this is business, and you get the job done and you move on. And politics is weird because you know, you can skirmish, but then you know you come to an agreement, and you may have fought 2 weeks ago, but then you may be strong allies on something going forward. So you always got to be willing to work constructively to get the job done for the people that sent you here. So I have no hard feelings at all. You know, these are not easy issues. There were differences of opinion about, you know, how to go about it, the timing, the substance, and we brought it all in for a landing, and we're better off as a result of having done that. So I think you're going to see a very productive next 2 years. I know both Ben and Danny, you know, they've worked hard to get in their positions. You know, they want to leave a mark. They want to leave a legacy of success. And so they're going to have a good partner with me as governor as they work through different policies through their respective chambers. But this was, I think, a healthy exercise, and I don't think you're going to see any lingering feelings at all. Certainly not from me. I'm happy with what we got. The people wanted us to act. We have policies. I said at the beginning of this, it's a pass-fail exercise. You either get policies that are going to do the job or they won't. Like, and if they don't do the job, then we shouldn't do it. If they do the job, you know, it doesn't have to be dictated by me. If they do the job, then let's move forward on it. And I think the legislation today does the job.
President Albritton, in the House, they're looking at doing some budget veto overrides, and I was curious what your thoughts are, what you're potentially going to do with that if it gets to your chamber.
The first thing I want to say is I want to go back to the previous question. I suspect everybody in here has a sibling. You know, sometimes siblings squabble. It happens that way. That's how families work. But I want you to know that I'm incredibly proud of the partnership that we have built with the House and that we have built with the governor. And this right here is a prime example of how when we put our heads together and we run toward the same fight, that we bring results. And I believe that matters. That matters. And I certainly won't speak for the Speaker. He does a good job of doing that on his own. Good friend, trusted friend. I will tell you, I agree with the governor. I think the exercise that we've been through for the last 10 days, maybe, the exercise we've been through for the last 10 days has made this family stronger. We've grown from this. I, for one, have learned a huge amount about the immigration process altogether. I don't mind admitting that. It's very complex. It's very complicated. A lot of it's in flux, as you said, Governor. So I'll just tell you that our Republican family, we're together, and we are moving forward together. And I also agree for the next couple of years we're going to have a lot of successes together, and that really matters. As it relates to veto overrides, you know, the Florida law gives the governor the ability to provide veto overrides, and here's what's fantastic. It's literally magical about the political process in Florida. It's okay if we have different opinions. It's actually healthy. So if he vetoes something that I would disagree with, I'd like to have a conversation about that, right? I think what the House has done, and I can't speak for the Speaker. He had to run for a Valentine's dinner tonight, that's important. But they put together this process to take a look at previous vetoes and the substance of those and how they feel about it. That's certainly something the House is looking at. I'm open-minded to that as much as anything else, because this is the way I view it. You have a House, you have the Senate, and you have a governor. And if anything, that's not a divide. If we disagree on a veto, that's not a divide. It's another opportunity for us to work together. That matters. It matters. So the House is working on the process, certainly supportive of that, and I look forward to, over the next 2 years, working with the governor and building budgets that can get the job done for Floridians.
Yeah, I would just, obviously, you can read the Constitution, like the prerogatives are there, but I think the issue is just, what the voters that sent us here, what do they want us to do? And Florida, I think we've developed a reputation. I mean, we were Doge before Doge was cool. If you look at that, we have the lowest number of state workers per capita in the country. We've paid down 36% of our state's total debt, taxpayer-supported debt. We've got big reserves, and we've held the line on the budget. And so the issue is there a political mandate for members who ran on fiscal responsibility to be adding in what a lot of voters would think would be pork barrel spending back into this current fiscal year, rather than focusing on the issues like condos, like hurricane, like all these others. And all I can say on that is it's their prerogative, but I'm with Doge, I'm with Elon, I'm with Trump. We should be holding the line on spending. We shouldn't be looking for ways to increase spending if we don't need to. Okay, thanks everybody. God bless you.